Hi there, welcome. Given how intense and overwhelming the world is for most people right now, I wanted to talk about whether or not it's valuable to discuss current events in the therapy or inner work space and how to do that in a way that is actually helpful. This video is part of a series about the private inner work space, what to expect, and how to get the most out of it. If you'd like to be notified when new videos are released, you can subscribe below. If you don't know me, I'm Julia Frodahl, and I help people heal and come to a place of wholeness, drawing on Buddhist teachings, Western psychology, and nature-based wisdom. I've been guiding people through the inner world for about 15 years now. So recently, it's been quite common for my students to spend a substantial amount of their session time expressing their fear and dismay and anger over current events. Toward the end of the session, they sometimes apologize for spending the whole time venting about current events, or they sometimes wonder if they wasted their session doing so. And so here's what I'd like you to know about that. First, it's completely normal to need a space where you can express fear and anger, frustration, or grief about current events freely. Therapy can be that space. It's non-judgmental, supportive, and safe for exactly those feelings. When you're able to express those emotions openly and have them received without judgment, your nervous system begins to settle a little bit. You feel less alone with what you're experiencing, and often, just having your reactions reflected back to you as normal and understandable can reduce the intensity of the experience itself. What might feel like just venting is often a first step in processing, naming what's there, feeling it more fully, and beginning to make sense of it. It's also worth acknowledging that the systems shaping our world, late stage capitalism, patriarchy, white supremacy, they have a real impact on our mental and emotional well-being. These systems can have as much of an impact on us as our family of origin. It's rather recent that this is actually being acknowledged in the therapeutic setting, but it is absolutely true and always has been. From the constant economic stress just to survive, to the dangers of being a woman in the world, a person of color, or a member of the LGBTQ plus community in the world, to the constraints imposed on men of what socially acceptable masculinity looks like. These issues show up in the body, in our relationships, they show up as coping strategies, they show up as illness. So it's perfectly appropriate to discuss these systems and their current manifestations in the therapy or inner work space. That said, it can also be helpful to approach these topics more mindfully than you might otherwise when talking with friends, in a way that holds space for your feelings while also keeping the conversation productive. So, for example, when I'm in a conversation like this with my students, I might ask, what does your anger about this say about what you value? And how can you use that insight to help you steer your life? Often we get riled up about something, not just because it makes us afraid or angry, but because it runs counter to a value that is important to us. And those moments can actually help clarify what matters to you. Another helpful question to reflect on can be, what is this activation showing me about my patterns, my coping strategies, or my triggers? With this kind of inquiry, we can begin to gently bring the focus back to areas where you have more agency and choice, and that's important. Another thing to notice is what you feel in your body when you're discussing current events. Can you tune into the fear or heartbreak and where it lives physically? Are you attempting to escape your feelings by intellectualizing? Cultivating this self-awareness empowers you to accept what's true, be with your feelings about that, and learn to regulate your nervous system instead of intellectualizing. In these ways, working with current events can be different than a conversation about them with a friend. But all that said, these times can be genuinely overwhelming and unsettling, and there's no right or wrong amount of time you should spend talking about current events in a session. I do strongly believe that the arc of time bends towards justice, and that the extremes we're seeing right now are signs of an outdated world going out fighting, and that we will emerge from these times with greater awareness and greater justice, but it is a rocky road getting there. And you doing your inner work is a big part of making the world a better place, a more compassionate place, a more stable place. Mature societies are made of populations of mature individuals. There's no way around that. And your participation in that maturation matters a lot. What matters about talking about current events in the therapeutic space is paying attention to how you feel and how the conversation is serving you. If you find that venting helps you feel seen, heard, and grounded, and helps validate the disbelief you feel, it's productive. If it leaves you feeling stuck or more overwhelmed, that's an important signal too. And it can be part of the work, and mentioning that to your person can be really helpful so that adjustments can be made. The key is noticing and reflecting. Therapy is a space where your feelings about the world and your patterns of responding to them can be safely explored and gently adjusted. That reflection often turns venting into insight. So the next time you're in a session and wondering whether to bring up current events, remember it's okay to start there, but try to bring curiosity about how and why it's affecting you the way it is, not because it's wrong that it's affecting you, but because understanding that more deeply can make the conversation a lot more meaningful and enriching for you. So I hope that helps. If you'd like, feel free to share your thoughts on this in the comments. Thank you as always for being here. And if you are looking for a guide for yourself and you'd like to explore the work that I offer, you can find more information about that in the video description. And again, if you'd like to be notified when I release more videos about how to navigate the inner work space, please be sure to subscribe below. Thank you so much.